Hello everyone, Tammy here again. Today we are back in the studio and we are making these easy journal tags, and they're made from some floral scraps and some old book pages. Then we've got some labels and little butterflies on here. And they're just little journal tags that you can use in junk journals, or you can also put them on gifts. That would be beautiful for that. Let me show you just a couple of these up closer. Kind of got a pinkish hue there and a bluish one. It's a pretty green and a whitish with the little pink flowers. There's a yellow and then another whitish one there. But this is what we're going to be working on today. And if you watched my last video, I showed you these pretty little envelopes that we made. And I got inspired to make these by these little labels. And you can see I've got these same labels that are on these little journal tags. And so we're going to use those again. Like I said in the last video, I have tons and tons. They came out of these old recollections paper pads. There's 180 in here, and there's just I just pulled a couple out, but I've got lots and lots of these labels that came in here, and I am just looking for projects that I can make with those. And also, while we're here, I've got tons of these in here too. There's kind of that color hue, and then there's one right behind it that's got, let me flip it up here, it's got that color with the letters on it. So if you have any ideas of something I can make with these little letters that are in here that I could cut out, maybe I could spell some words and put on something, I'm not sure. But if you all have any ideas for me for that, leave it down in the comments, because I sure would like to use those up. So I've already cut out, I pulled out, several of these, and we'll figure out what color hue we want to go with next to show you how I made these. And let's just get started. Let's move these up out of the way. Okay, for these I want to start with just a base, and I have a piece of little white cardstock here, and these measure 2.5 inches by 5 inches, and it's just a plain old piece of white cardstock. And I have one that I just cut the edges off and made them match, just with the scissors. Cut them off and flip it over. But I have one here that I just use for my pattern. It just makes it easy just to come to the side and line it up and just do the little snip, snip that away. Whoops, helps if I line it up a little better here. So I'm just going to cut that side off, cut this side off, and then we've got our base to work with. There we go. Okay, for the floral part on here, we're going to start with that. I've got lots of these little strips. I sell floral gift tags in my Etsy shop, and I cut them out on my Cricut machine, and when I'm done, I'm left with these little strips that are left over. So I always like to kind of use these in my other projects. So let's just go with this blue color. I think that would be pretty. And for me, I'm just going to snip off the edges of these. There we go, that's far enough down. And just if you're curious, this is about 1.25 inches. So just about halfway across. I'm going to bring over some glue paper, and let's glue this little strip down onto here. I've just got just a good old glue stick, but use whatever kind of adhesive you have. Should work for this. Oop, did I get it long enough? No, I did not. Let's go a little more here. That should do it. Let's see. Start up at the top. I'm going to cut that extra little edge off in a minute. There we go. That's lining up a little better. And we can snip off any extra that we didn't get. So That'll be okay. All right, push that down. I'm going to go ahead and cut that part off. And we're done with that little spot. For the other side here, I'm going to use an old book page. Okay, for the book page, I'm going to be using it out of this old Little Women's book. It's kind of got a creepy cover on it, but anyhow, it works. It has some like more yellowish pages on the inside, which is one thing that I really like. So we'll just pull out a page here. And I want this, let's see. And I'm gonna, where this ripped out here, I'm just gonna straighten my edge up just a little bit so it's not quite so wonky. I still like the ripped edge, but I want it to be a little bit straighter if I can. There we go, I like that a little better. And then I'm gonna go ahead and whack off the extra little spots here. Get them out of my way. Alright, and then for this, I like this to have kind of a little bit darker edge as it's coming through, down through here. So I'm going to use some Distress ink and just kind of hit the edge of this on here before I glue it down. And this is just Distress ink by Tim Holtz. It's in the walnut stain. And then I'm just using a kitchen sponge for this. Makes pretty quick work. All right, I like the look of that. I'm gonna pull a clean sheet over and we'll glue that on. Let's kind of line up at the top so it's coming down the center fairly well. Looks pretty good. Glue on there. It's all right, it will dry. And I'll go ahead and cut this part off. And then out of one sheet of paper, I can usually get 2 tags. All right. There is that. Pull all this stuff out of the way. And now I'm going to go ahead and ink all the way around the edges. I got a little piece of white at the top. I'm going to go ahead and snip that off so it's got a crisp edge. Well, there we go. I like that better. Go real quick around the edges of this. That part. We got our base done here. Now I'm going to find a label that I want to use. Move that to the side. A label that I want to use that I think would match good on this. Actually, this one here right on the edge I think I'll do. Snip it off. And if you are doing this project and kind of following along, if you don't have let me snip that, make that crisp. Okay, and if you don't have any labels, you can for sure make your own. Just pull some designer paper, something that's going to kind of match, you know, your background, and then cut a little piece of white a little bit smaller to go on it. And the ones that I'm using in particular here, they are 2 inches by 1.5 inches, and then I just cut, like I said, I cut the white piece just a little smaller. You can ink around the edges, put dots, or just leave it plain. However you decorate it up, it's going to be cute. But that's an idea for that. Okay, right, the next step we want to do is I want to ink around the edge of this just a little bit. If you can tell, I've just kind of gone in with some ink just to kind of antique this up just a little bit, make it look a little more worn. We're using the older book pages here, and I think this distress ink gives it really pretty color. And I'm gonna hit that white part just a little bit as well. Alright, let's fold this over because I am going to come in with a piece of little cardstock, craft cardstock, and that's going to be my edging here for this because I think it's going to help it stand out just a little bit better. So let's put some ink on the back. Let's put some glue on the back of this. And then I'm going to put it right on here. And just leave myself a little bit of a border. Okay. And then I'll just use my little scissors and come right along the edge. That's going to help set that apart a little bit. Come back in with the distress ink and hit this. So I want those edges to be a little bit darker. Alrighty. And now we are ready to glue this part on. Sometimes I'll run, as that glue is drying, it wants to warp the paper just a little bit, but if I run my fingers through it, that'll kind of keep it a little more, just a little more straight without warping it. Okay, let me get a new piece of paper here to glue on. Throw that one away. Here we go. And then I'm just going to put this down here on the bottom, towards the bottom. Kind of hanging it a little bit more to the right. I like that. Okay, next I'm going to add, oops, I got that over a little bit. Let's straighten that little guy up. There we go. Like that better. And I'm going to use for my butterfly, I have just a butterfly punch that I'm going to use. You can use any kind of little sticker or whatever you may have, but this is what I have on hand. Cut that little one out. And then I'm going to ink this one up as well. There's still enough ink on there. I don't think I have to go dab it again. Just kind of hitting the edges there. And then I'm going to go on each side of its little wing and fold that up just a little bit. So it's going to get a little bit of dimension to it. And I'm just going to glue just that part down. For that I'm going to use some tacky glue. If I can get my lid off. There we go. That'll be plenty. Pop it right in the corner. I think before I get too much further here, I'm going to go ahead and cut my hole for the top. Before I add my little bead on there, so I'm not moving it around as much. And I've just got a hole punch for that. And so I'm just going to bring this other one over that I had as my little pattern. I'll flip it over and I'm just going to mark a spot so I keep all these centered. And just do a little punch there so it'll go through all of it. There we go. And then I'm going to add a little gem to this. A little sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. Pretty it up. Just need a little dot for that. And we'll add that color. It's kind of more of a green, but I don't really have a blue. So we're just going to go with that, and it'll be just fine, I think. Okay, let's put the lid on here. And then for this very top part, On these I did not, but I think it would be pretty to come in and add a little reinforcement label. I've got some in the back here that I have just used the sponge and inked over these, and I think that would look really pretty up here at the top. You know, if you added that, I think that would highlight it a little bit more. I didn't on these other ones, so I won't on this one, but I think that would look really pretty. I'm just not in the mood to come back and untie all my ribbons. But for the ribbon on this, I have got this color here. It's kind of a, I've got this pretty ribbon here that I'm going to use, and it is about 6 inches that I put on these. So just to keep it about the same, I'm going to go to 6 inches and cut. And on these, I've just put it right through the middle and then tied it off twice. So we'll just loop it through once and then loop it through again. I'm making one more tie to hold it in place well. Well, my big old fingers aren't wanting to work this very well this morning. That's okay. All right. And that's how I've kind of just left all of these. Pull these back over so you can see them again. But that's how I've left all of these. Now, of course, it would be pretty if you came and added a little dangle here to the top. I think that would, whoops, I think that would be pretty hanging down. Maybe on this pinkish one, that might match a little better. But I think that would be pretty hanging down. You can also, I've got some other little tags that you could add to the top, you know, just off of a little bulb pin, and that would do it. I mean, there's so many different ways we can add to it, but that's how I did these today. I really like finding different ways to use up these labels. So if you have some more ideas for me, leave them in the comments. And like I said, if you have an idea of a way I could use up those little alphabet pages too, that'd be great, because I have tons and tons of those. So I think that's going to be it for today, my friends. Thanks again for joining me. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.